And we're live. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Sheep Get Sheared podcast, where we talk about people, politics, and popular culture. Folks, I'm your host, Austin Creed, and honestly, I gotta be real with y'all. This is not an easy show for me to do today. But I was looking at the news earlier, over the weekend, apparently there was quite a bit of gun violence, and it breaks my heart to see it because I know exactly what's going to follow. Number one, people are going to forget about the real victims affected by these tragedies, and they're going to focus on get the guns, ban the guns. It's going to become immediately a political tool, and the people who have suffered are going to be neglected, or they'll be remembered only to be a tool for the Democrat machine to use to try to get more political power over you, the American voter. And that's what it breaks my heart to see that, and I hate it. I hate it. I hate it to see these people who have suffered, who have lost someone they love, to be used as political pawns for these people. It makes me sick. It's enough to make you puke. But we're going to be really diving into the gun violence topic today, and I will say right up front, if you've lost someone, or you know someone, or you've been directly impacted by this, I am truly sorry for your loss. I really am. And you don't have to keep listening to the show today. I don't want you to take what I'm saying out of context. I don't want it to seem like I'm attacking you or that I am denigrating your feelings in any way. That is not what is intended by me doing the show today. In fact, I want to call out these sellout bums called politicians. I want them to stop pushing the big lie, and I want people to really know what's going on and maybe hear an angle you haven't heard before. So if you've been impacted by this, I'm going to give you a disclaimer up front that you might be triggered by this, and I don't want you to I don't want to add to your grief. I don't want you to be upset. So if you want, you can keep going, but I would warn you ahead of time to know that we're going to be talking in very deep detail about this topic today. So with that being said, we're going to hop right into the show. But first, I make a lot of topics. Like I said, this could be very incendiary. This is a very poignant topic that I know a lot of people have their own thoughts about it. So I would invite you to head over to my Twitter at Austin Creed. Here you can hit me up directly, tag me in a tweet, whatever it is that you want to do, so that we can talk about this topic more, raise awareness to your situation, whatever it is you want to do. I will respect your wishes. Second is, if you want to leave it in the comment section, welcome to do it. If you want to support the channel, you can go over to my Twitter page. There's a URL link. You can click that. It'll send you to the mother page for the podcast, and there will be a link to my Patreon right there in the description. So go ahead and check that out if you want to get a little more behind the scenes action on the show. If you want to have your voice be heard directly with me, that's the way to do it, and give topics and everything else. I'm happy to do it. But we're going to hop right into this real fast because, look, gun violence... Hold on, give me 1 second. Gun violence is something that is always in the news when it happens, as it should be. However, it's mainly used as a tool, and it makes me sick, quite frankly. So here's what I want to do for you today. I want to pull up statistics. For those of you who are listening on audio, I'll read the facts, but for those of you who are watching on YouTube or Rumble, you'll be able to follow along and see what I'm about to show. So, according to the Pew Research Center, again, I understand the Pew Research Center veers left. I understand that. But I'm still going to read it. And so if you are on the right side, or you're in the center and you're a little more on the right side, take it with a grain of salt if you want. Here's what it says. On a per capita basis, according to the Pew Research Center, there were 14.6 gun deaths per 100,000 people in 2021, the highest rate since the early 90s, but still well below the peak of 16.3 gun deaths per 100,000 in 1974. It says the gun deletion rate in the United States remained below its peak levels despite rising sharply during the pandemic. Now, that's an interesting point. Why do you think that the rise. Why do you think there's such a rise in gun violence during the pandemic, or the plandemic as I call it? Why do you why do you think that happened? I mean, I can tell you what I think. I think it happened because people were pent up. They were angry, mainly with the world, with the government especially for locking everything down, and that's why they did it. After that, the medication and the drugs, the marijuana, the alcohol. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. That's something you haven't heard much about, huh? Oh, don't worry. We'll be diving into that one today. But here's some more numbers from the Pew Research Center. Now, they actually broke it down by state to their credit. But here's the thing. If you look at the graph, it's devious. It's devious at best and deceitful at worst, because here's what it says. The graph shows a picture of the United States with from light shade to darker shade, showing the gun violence rate per state. Now, this is 2 years ago, but here's what it says. It says that they were adjusted per 1,000 people by state. Now, you need to read the note. Here's what the note says before I read you the numbers. The note says this includes intentional deletions, self-deletions, and accidental deletions involving law enforcement and other circumstances. So it's not only direct gun violence. It could be anything from someone offing themselves to somebody going to a schoolhouse, or somebody just accidentally doing something. I don't know how you could accidentally, but we'll go with it. They say California is low, if not the lowest on the list. Florida is actually lower than I thought. They have from 10 and lower as being the least to 25 and more being okay. States with the highest: Montana, Wyoming, Alaska, New Mexico, Louisiana, Missouri, and well, that's interesting. And Alabama. You know, this is why I think it's so devious, this list. I chose to include it anyway because I wanted to point this out. I think it's very devious of them because you look at almost every Democratic state has low gun violence. And then you look at the more red states and they have higher. Now, they would have you believe that that is because that those evil Republicans want more people, that basically guns produce violence. You ever heard that one before from the communists, the socialist crazies who are really communists in disguise? They're the ones who say guns produce violence. Get the guns, ban the guns. See, you would believe that looking at this list, but what they're not showing you is the source is the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. I don't know why they're doing gun violence statistics, but you notice something in particular. The highest rate, with few exception, of gun violence is along the border with Mexico. Anybody want to clue me in? I don't understand. Why is there so much more gun violence along the border? How could that be? I thought everybody coming over were great, patriotic people, mostly children. How is there such a large violent rate on the border with Mexico? How is this possible? Anybody want to clue me in? Anybody want to clue me in on that one? Oh man, I also find it interesting that, look, I gotta be real with you. As someone who was stationed in Wyoming when I was in the Air Force, there's like nothing to do there besides stare at the fields, eat pie, and get drunk. So I am assuming that most of those deletions are self-inflicted, not anything else. I'm assuming Montana is another good example of there's nothing to do in Montana besides go hunting. And whether the hunter himself is on the menu or not is an entirely different conversation. And And then you have Idaho. Oh, the place where Ernest Hemingway got himself with a shotgun. How interesting. My friends, what do you have to say about this? Does this even matter to you? Does this even matter to you? Well, I'll tell you something that most people have not addressed. You see, they'd have you believe that it's all hatred, it's all this and it's all that, and those dang Republicans, if only they weren't so evil, we would just take away all those dang guns and we would have no problems. Well, let me tell you, that's totally stupid. And I'll tell you why. Because, look, I would like to present Exhibit A. For those of you who love marijuana, you're about to get really upset because I'm about to hit you with very harsh reality. And if you don't like it, go write the FCC. Report me on YouTube. I don't give a damn. I'll tell you what I am going to do, though. You ever heard of the word assassin? Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm sure you have. But what you probably don't know is that according to the New World Encyclopedia, yes, no, this is not a right-wing source for you commies who are about to come in here and tell me I made this up. The name assassin is commonly believed to be a mutation of the Arabic word. I don't even know how to pronounce that. I think it's Hassassin, or something like that, which allegedly derives from the drug hashish that was said to be used by groups before going into battle. Attention, potheads. Attention, potheads. Yes, you. You who say you use it for recreation only, man. It helps with my anxiety, man. Yeah. Marijuana was historically used right before going into battle before people were killed. Yes, that's correct. Because look at this. For those of you who are about to say, "Oh, alcohol is so bad." Oh, yeah. Well, I would like to present Exhibit B. Exhibit B says that see, it says here. It says, however, there are those who dispute this, according to its originates from Marco Polo's accounts on his visit, in which he describes a drug whose effects are more like those of alcohol than hashish. But, for those of you who are not stupid and know about religion, alcohol is not likely to be the drug described because alcohol is forbidden by Muslim faith. Yes, that's right. If you look in Iran, Afghanistan, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Lebanon, Libya, all those places, yeah, they're all most of them are druggies. They don't drink alcohol, they just do a lot of drugs. Mostly pills, by the way. And a lot of opium. Oh, yeah, you didn't know about that, did you? That a lot of opium comes out of Afghanistan. Oh, yeah, you didn't know about that one, did you? Well, you learned it right here on the Sheep Get Sheared podcast. You're welcome. Now, it says others suggest that since hashish eaters were outlaws, were originally orchestrated in the Middle East, they became synonymous with the term outlaw. Oh, which look at that. They were outlaws. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? See, you don't learn this most places, do you? No, I didn't think so. My friends, they'd have you believe that, oh, it's just an herb, man. It comes from the earth, man. And, when it comes from the earth, it's so healthy. It's so amazing. And it couldn't possibly have any drawbacks. No. I just use it because if everybody just if everybody's had a bag of weed, the world would be an amazing place, Family Guy did a song about it, and all this stuff, and if you just weren't such an uptight Republican, you know that everybody just wants to go, I listened to the Beatles speech, I listened to the Beatles song, All You Need Is Love, and they were big hippies, and the hippies say, oh, I need to mellow myself out, man. I need to really just calm down and embrace who I am. See, that sounds nice, doesn't it? It really does. Until reality hits you in the forehead and then you realize that marijuana is not the benign drug they'd have you believe it is. Which is why, despite the historical evidence, when you look at headlines like this where it says, "Does marijuana lead to violence?" Experts. Now, again, they don't name experts. Whenever you hear the term experts, you know it's a setup. Unless they name the expert, setup. Lies. One person, obscure person, probably said that. Experts say there's no clear link between marijuana leading to violence. Is that right? Well, of course, then in the next sentence they say that they fault white supremacy and then Donald Trump's rhetoric on immigration. Oh man. You see, why has Trump become the boogeyman? If you're a leftist listening to the show, why do you hate? If you hate Trump, I don't care if you're a Republican, Democrat. Why do you hate Trump? Like seriously, I don't get it. Now, I'm not one of the fervent worshippers of Trump. At the same time, I think a lot of the stuff he did was good. I don't understand why everybody hates him so much. I really don't get it. But my friends, I don't understand why people are not addressing the root causes. Look, what's really the difference between a drug dealer on a street corner and a pharmacist or doctor in a lab coat? I mean, the guy on the street, at least he's selling you drugs, versus the pharmacist or the doctor. They just act like they're not, pill pushing people, but they are. I mean, look, if you're a doctor, I'm not trying to insult you. I'm just telling you, look, what's the difference between if you're on a legal medication that your quack doctor puts you on, or if you're on marijuana or alcohol or anything else? You're a drug addict. We're a nation of drug addicts, plain and simple. I don't care if it's some pharmaceutical drug your quack doctor puts you on because they said you need it. Meanwhile, the big pharma's never been bigger. Or you do coca, or you drink alcohol, or you smoke marijuana, whatever. What's the difference, really? Let's be honest. It's all drugs. It's all altering your hormone balance. It's altering your mind. It's altering all that stuff. What's the difference between your quack doctor and the street corner dealer? What's the difference? We're a nation of drug addicts. And that reflects in the gun violence. That's where it comes from, is the drugs, the drugs, the drugs, the drugs, the drugs. But of course, because there's so much money being made off it, no one says that. They say, "Oh, it's the hateful rhetoric of those evil Republicans, and it must be those darn white supremacists, and oh, it must be because guns are just bad and they produce violence." As if it's not a total inanimate object, that doesn't have a mind or will of its own. My friends, why does no one talk about the connection between the drugs, whether they be legal or illegal, and the rise in gun violence? Am I out of line for assuming that there's a connection? I don't need to assume. I know it. I know there is. I don't know how you could sit here and tell me otherwise. There is. Very direct one at that. What are your thoughts on the gun violence in America? What do you think is causing it? Who is causing it? What is causing it? Why is it being caused? How is it being caused? These are all important questions. I want to know what you have to say. Because I could sit here and talk about it all day, but my friends, I'm telling you what I think. It is the drugs that are fueling the gun violence in America. Whether they be legal, illegal, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I know what antidepressants do to people. I was on them in the military. I know what they do to people. I know what they did to me. I know what it says it can cause. Oh yeah, you didn't hear about that one, did you? You ever listen to those drug commercials on TV, and they spend half the commercial showing you these happy, wonderful people, and then the other half of the commercial telling you all the potential side effects, where it could damage your liver, destroy your heart, kill you, whatever, and then, you know exactly what I'm talking about, especially if you watch Fox News or anything else. Why? Because they've never had it so good. They've never had it so good. my friends, look at the connection between drugs, be it legal or illegal, and the rise in gun violence in this country, and you will start to see a very stark connection and correlation. Well, I'll leave it at that. I think I made my point for the day. Again, I invite you to leave your comments, questions, criticisms, concerns, love, hate, whatever you want. Comments, my Twitter handle at Austin Creed. Hit me up over there. Whatever it is, I'll be tweeting more. I've been busy, haven't done it as much, but I'm gonna be doing it more. Again, I want to hear what you have to say on this, and if you've been directly affected by this, again, my sympathies are with you. I am not trying to downplay anything about what this is a very serious problem. And that's exactly why I'm discussing aspects and correlations that most people will not touch with a 19.5 foot pole. The same one that they wouldn't touch the Grinch with. The 39.5 foot pole, they wouldn't touch this. Because they know there's big money behind it. They know that they stand to lose a lot if they talk about it. But I'm not scared to talk about it. I care more about the truth. And so should you. Anyways, my friends, I appreciate you listening to the Sheep Get Shear podcast today. Till next time, it's been Austin Creed. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless this beautiful country called the United States of America. We're out of here. Peace.